Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gail Carson, that's Gayle, Gail Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Hi, everybody. My guest today is Dana Robertson, who is co-founder and dreamer at Pennant Creatives LLC, a millennial-owned creative agency that specializes in value-based branding, values-based branding, and it's an agency that she launched in 2017 with her partner in business and life, Chris Brimehost. She loves providing creative direction, design thinking, values visioning, leadership, and strategy, all in her role at Pennant. She's mama to a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. And in her spare time, which I don't know how she has with all of this, is she loves to sing, go on a nice run, or try out a new recipe or 3. Well, Dana, welcome, welcome, welcome.
And thank you so much for having me.
You cook too. I have to tell you, I'm a great microwaver, but I had 3 homes and 3 stoves that were never used. So I really respect somebody who can whip something up by themselves. So tell us a little bit about how you shaped your signature service at Pennant. I mean, values-based branding. We all know that branding is important. We know values are important, but how do you bring them together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the reasons that this matters so much to me is kind of just how I'm wired as a person. So I actually still have I'm a social worker. And so one of the biggest reasons that I had a career prior to, co-creating this creative agency as a social worker is because I just love people, and found in that work with people who primarily were experiencing homelessness that one of the most important things that you can do in social situations is look for strengths and look for what are the good things that you can pull out of any situation. And so how that translated then when I switched gears and started trying to build this creative agency with Chris was that I started with that mindset when we built our own brand. And so we were like, okay, we're going to do this work together. How do we want to do it? And so my first question was, who are we? Which led us to really start with those values and start with the strengths that we already had to then translate them to our brand. So it was kind of like a mixture of kind of my own bent towards looking at those values and then beginning to understand just how crucial that was to your brand that led me to this concept of values-based branding.
I so understand this because my sister taught social work at Syracuse University for years and years and years. In fact, she was in charge of the department. So, and then her daughter went there and got a social work degree, and then her granddaughter went there and got a social work degree. So I'm ingrained in that social work progress. And I have to say a proud announcement here. My niece, her daughter is executive director of the Vera House, which is for battered and abused women and children. And her daughter, her granddaughter, my sister's granddaughter, is in charge of something very important at Catholic Charities, but I don't know what it is because she keeps getting promoted. But
That's
so
awesome.
I understand this. So, but you also not only had to develop this values-based branding, you're working with your spouse, and a lot of people say don't ever do that. So tell us about that as well.
You know, and it's so funny because like when we started this thing, I was like, oh, how is this going to go? Because we're both really creative people, but we're different creatives. Like he has that visual and design acumen that like I could never have. And I have the kind of like the visionary, kind of creative, like almost spontaneous. So it's like that's why we're the dreamer and the designer. We're very different people. So yeah, but it's interesting. Like I would say to anybody thinking about working with their spouse is that it surprised me actually just how many new things I discovered about Chris as we worked together. And so like, yeah, it's not all daisies and rainbows. Obviously, like we're very different people. So we have to work really hard at communicating, but we learned so much about each other and our relationship through building this together. And so people ask me like, oh my gosh, how's that going? And I say, you know, like, honestly, like my work relationship with Chris is like one of my favorite things. Like when we can get together and we call them work dates. Have a work date.
I think I think it's terrific.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. So tell us about how the game of baseball relates to pennant.
Yes. So when we launched our business together, we actually went under Chris's name in 2017 because he had this sole proprietorship that was just C. Brimehurst Media Co. And I would go out, introduce myself, say I was from C. Brimehurst Media Co. And people would be like, what's a C. Brimehurst? So we knew that we would have to come up with like a name that better represented us. Well, so Chris and I are both huge fans of the game of baseball. And we have separate teams, opposite teams actually. I'm a New York Mets fan. He is a Philadelphia Phillies fan. And if you know anything about those two teams, they're like big rivals, but it's complicated, but we make it work. But so we love baseball. And one of the biggest things that we appreciate is watching our teams get through this long season. It's from like April to October. And their goal is winning the pennant. And so they work and strive as a team through the highs and lows of the season. But everyone on the team, when they get to the end of that season and they raise their pennant, they know that it's just as much about the journey as that high-flying pennant that they have won. And we think that that is an incredible analogy for the creative process and kind of what we go through with our clients. So that is that's how baseball relates to pennant. And if you visit our website, raisethepennant.com, you'll see a lot of baseball theme in the design of the site itself. And we like to make a lot of baseball analogies when we're talking about stuff, design, creativity, that kind of thing.
Well, of course, unfortunately, neither one of those teams made the playoffs. So
they didn't. But this World Series has been awesome to watch. So I think it's a good series. So we're just excited. Actually, it's Tampa Bay, the Rays, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Kind of where you're located. We're excited. We're rooting for them.
Well, now, what's your favorite part about being Dana the Dreamer at Pennant?
Yes. Oh man, there are a lot of them. Probably one of my most favorite things is actually walking alongside the businesses and the business owners that we get to partner with when we build and create together. My main role is building that relationship and kind of showing up with our people as they're trying to figure out what their brand needs to be. I'm the one that's able to really dive in and learn their story and get at the heart of what their business represents, not only for them, but for the people that it is serving. So I think that's my favorite part, is just really learning the story and learning about the incredible people who are building these businesses, and then just using that in our creative process and helping them actually discover their own brand of creativity. Because everyone has a creative side. There's people that come to me and they say, oh, I'm not creative at all. Nope. Everyone has their own.
That would be me. That would be me, because I'm around so many creative people, and so much better than I am. You know, I can come up with an idea here and there and so forth, and I can kind of appropriate what other people are doing and turn it into something for myself. But I don't view myself as really creative. But, you know, this is a Women in Business show. So what are some of the doubts you overcame as you navigated your career? Because, you know, you started out in social work. Now you're a creative person in branding. You know, it's a shift. It's a shift. So what doubts about yourself did you overcome?
Well, you know, I think my biggest, I think the shift from social worker, like full-time working in social work, to, you know, entrepreneurship, it was a huge shift, and it wasn't something I took lightly. It was really hard in a lot of ways, because I do miss the day-to-day work of, you know, serving, and especially really passionate about ending homelessness. So the shift was not getting so hung up on, oh, well, since you're not doing that full time, then you're not actually using these skills that you have honed over years. And so it was trying to think about it a little differently, trying to think about my social work side differently, and then trying to also own that I was a co-owner of a creative agency, and to actually accept that as well as part of my new career, really. So those shifts, they came step by step. I began to discover about myself that, you know what, like, you don't actually have to be paid 40 hours a week to serve in your community. I serve on boards and give back, and being an entrepreneur allows me the flexibility to do that and choose the projects that I want to be involved in. And then on the entrepreneur side, I had to do a lot of understanding of my own strengths and gifts, and that, I'm here and I'm in this industry. And so it actually took a while, but I think one of the things that helped me was being able to say, well, one day I'm going to be good at marketing, or I'm going to market, or I'm going to build this company, to saying, you are doing this. You are marketing. You are a marketer. You are Dana the Dreamer. You do walk alongside your clients, and you do build wonderful things with them. And so it was making sure that I was telling myself that I was doing it in the present tense that really helped me to accept my role as Dana the Dreamer and building Pennant Creatives and building Pennant Creatives. That makes sense.
But what made you make the shift in the first place?
Yes. So, well, that's a very interesting story. So I actually was working probably it was a community homeless assessment and referral team that I was managing, and I became a mom, and I was working at this assessment and referral team, which took families and individuals who are in crisis and got them into shelters. And it was a very intense job. It was like 60 plus hours a week sometimes of just working really hard to, make this happen. But when I became a mom, I realized that I was coming home and I didn't have anything left for my family. And that was a clue to me that it was maybe time for a shift. And so I tried to make it work with, going into another job with less hours, but it just, at the end of the day, it was like time to just take a quick break and take a breath, and make that decision that, okay, like, how is this going to go? Where's my social work career going to go next?
And then you ended up in a business with your husband, which is harder because, when both of you are working in kind of, the business as you're building it, there's a lot of strain and stress in that as well.
Yeah. And so, but like, I think in that whole time, what I was able to discover for myself was that making that shift, yes, like building a business is extremely hard, extremely challenging. But I found that I was able to choose the things that I loved, and that in itself didn't make it that I was depleted at the end of the day, and that the flexibility of entrepreneurship made it so that I could block my time differently. I could understand my own flow throughout the day, those kinds of things that you're able to experience when you're trying to build a business. And I think that in some ways too, I was able to create boundaries for ourselves and for our family. So all of that, I think, lended itself to me living the life that I chose rather than being part of something that ended up just it wasn't working anymore for me to have the full-time social work management career and do all the other things that I think my heart really wanted to do. So I think that's really what it came down to. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like I'm really, really content in what I'm doing now. When you read that description, it sounded like a lot.
If you're listening to this, folks, you are finding out that you can have a child as young as 5 months old, have a 4-year-old, be in this environment of social distancing, of virtual everything, and still have a business. So for those of you that are listening to Dana out there, don't use excuses. I know it's difficult. I know you're going to have to make some changes. Certainly I have changed. I'm someone who traveled 4 to 5 times a month to speak at conferences and so forth. And I'm doing everything virtually now, have not left my home except for, medical things, in 33 weeks. So you can do this. You can do this. Now, one of the things that you talked about was that in your value statements, you say creativity can change the world. What do you mean by that?
I think that with creativity is it's a superpower. It's an element. And like I said, I mean, even you, Dr. Gale, you have creativity. Everyone has their own type of creativity. And I feel like it's that element within us that can help us push the boundaries of what we think that we can do. It's that element that helps us to get into a brain space, to come up with, another way or another avenue. And that's really powerful because yes, it creates beautiful things, but I think it helps us as humans also to navigate even in the most challenging of circumstances. And I really believe that if all of us are able to understand our own creativity, it can be world changing. It can shift the way that we live our lives. It can shift the way that we think about our lives. And so that's what I mean when we say creativity can change the world. We really believe it's a beautiful element that's within all of us that can create change wherever we are.
Well, that's a great philosophy. And I know you also have a tagline. This is Dana. She's your biggest fan. And I can tell that you're enthusiastic about the clients that you work with and that you really are enjoying. I mean, it may have been a learning curve in the beginning, but you really enjoy, what you're doing now. And so do you have any secret talents that we haven't talked about?
Oh, man. Well, yeah. I can make up jingles on the spot.
You can make up jingles about what?
I can make up a jingle about basically anything. I make up random songs all day long. I feel like it might be a mom talent because, you know, I can sing to my son in the middle of the night, you know, if I want to tell him something and make it sound fun. Yeah. So I make up songs, random songs all the time. Yeah. And I can touch my tongue and my nose. Oh, and I love to hula hoop.
Wow. You know something? You would think I would be a great hula hooper because I'm a great exerciser and I was a dancer. So you would think, no, 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 no. Put a hula hoop around me and it falls right to the floor. So it's really interesting how all of this, you know, happens. So, you know, I guess, what would you like for the audience to know about you and your agency?
So, well, we are actually starting tomorrow afternoon. We're starting to do webinars. So we're actually going to be doing a webinar on values-based branding. I can say that it's you can sign up actually on our website at raisethepennant.com. It's free. I would love for you to come out and join us and just say hi. It's going to be interactive where you can ask us questions and we're just going to tell you more about our story. So that is something that we're doing just as early as tomorrow, and we'll be actually doing another one in November. So I would love to invite everyone to that. But also check us out. Just in general, our website is raisethepennant.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook under Raise the Pennant. And, you know, just reach out. We'd love to chat. And if you want to learn more about how on earth I make all of this work, I'm here for you. I would love to even just share that about, you know, what I'm doing or how I got started if you're curious. So.
That's wonderful. Well, you know, folks, if you're listening to this and liking what Dana has told you, you may not be able to make the first webinar, but you sure can make the second webinar. And, you know, webinars are great. They're great learning tools. So I think, you know, you'll get a lot out of this because if you are interested in, you know, value-based selling, then this is, and branding, this is something that you really should take advantage of. I want to remind everybody, as far as I'm concerned, you can find me at spunkyoldbroad.com. We'd love for you to subscribe to our Spunky Old Broad TV channel on YouTube. That would be wonderful if you could do that as well. And you go to Dana's site, which, you know, is Raise the Pennant. You can't forget that. That's certainly memorable. RaiseThePennant.com. I don't know if there's a gift you want to offer to the audience at all, Dana, but the fact that you're doing this webinar, I think is going to be very revealing to them as to who you are and what you do and so forth. Is there anything else you'd like them to know about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you reach out to us and tell me that you heard about me on the Gail Carson show, I'd love to spend some time with you and give you a free brand audit. So if that is something that is of interest to you, find us, contact us on the contact form on our site and tell me you heard about me on Gail Carson, and I would be happy to provide that for you. Yeah, so.
That's wonderful. You can't, folks, you can't beat a brand audit. I mean, you'll know what's working. You may not always agree, but you'll know what's working and what's not working. And, you know, this is what they do as a living. So they're going to tell you the truth. We don't always like to hear the truth. I know I don't always like to hear the truth, but I value what people have to say. So as a matter of fact, I'm doing a beta test right now on my TV programs that I do. And, you know, one of the things I say is if you want to be a part of this beta test, because it's like 1/10 the cost of my regular program, I need feedback. I'm doing it because I want to know, do you like it? What would you like improved? What do you want to tell me? And I may not want to hear any of it, but there it is. So, folks, if you want to find Dana, it's Dana Robertson. The agency is Raise the Pennant, and her actual title is Dreamer at Pennant Creatives. And, she's a working mom, two small children under the age of 5. And I understand that because when I got married, Dana, I married a man with 2 children and I got pregnant right away. And so within 13 months of marriage, I had 3 children under the age of 7 and a business to run. So it was a well-oiled machine, I can tell you that. Thank you so much for being with us, Dana. We loved having you, and I wish you only the greatest success for your future.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so great to share with you and your audience today.
Hi, this is Dr. Gail, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.